Hello, happy Friday, aka Should I Wish Someone Told Me the After Party Day. What we are going to be doing here is the same thing we do every Friday, so recapping this week's episode and then sharing what you had to say in the poll results, and then we're going to be answering your questions. So, conversation with Sebastian as soon as he hops on, and there he is. Perfect timing. Bop, bop, bop.
Sup?
How are you?
This is how this whole thing started, you know. I jumped on your live earlier this year on a Friday afternoon.
That's true. But
That's where the reunion / interview came about.
The reunion, yeah, but we're morning people, so this is a better situation.
We are morning people, and if you're watching this and you're not a morning person, you're missing out.
You can watch it in the afternoon.
Yeah, you can
watch the replay.
It may take you to the afternoon to be like, okay, I can take this energy right now.
I can take the excitement. Yeah, I love that. Okay, cool. So, hello, how are you doing today? Let's start there.
Oh, I'm fantastic. I woke up and caught the sunrise over on Key Biscayne, and I got a little walk in, and here we are, ready to rock and roll. You were the first thing on my calendar this morning.
Love. I love being a first. So what we're going to do, we're just going to recap the episode really quick. And so I'm going to let you do that. So why don't you share with everyone just a brief, like, high-level synopsis of, like, key takeaways, anything that came up for you, like what we discussed on the episode without, like, giving away the whole enchilada kind of a thing.
You know, I when I look back at conversations that I have, I often want to ask myself, am I still living up to those standards myself? So that was my big download, was that, you can't, I don't want to say teach someone to heal, because you can't teach someone to heal, but your message of healing can't be organic and transparent if you're not still living in that same, like, if I tell you, hey, stop drinking milk because it's bad for you, and then I drink milk every day, I mean, obviously I'm a hypocrite, but that's a simple analogy there, or example rather, of giving advice. I think that happens a lot. I think with this whole influencer world and noise that we're forced to contend with online, I think that there is a lot of misalignment with, how do you really feel about this specific thing, product, service, idea, process, whatever it may be.
Right. Are you practicing
whatever the
preach
thing is. Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's what showed up for me the most, was like, let's just do a gut check real quick. Let's just check in real quick. Very important, by the way. Very important. Just check in real quick and ask yourself, are you living what you're teaching or talking about or creating or whatever it may be? So.
And what was the verdict? Like, was it did you pass?
I had a pretty heavy emotional week that week, as you know, when I recorded that. So it went into the cyclone of emotions and life, if you will. But I definitely processed and thought about that. And it was like, it's always a call to action to ourselves when we can do a quick gut check and say, is what we're putting out what we're actually experiencing ourselves.
Right.
So yeah, that was the verdict, was that, more and more awareness. Yay, awareness. It's that double-edged sword, awareness, I tell you.
I say that a lot. Self-awareness is a blessing and a bitch, because it's like, yay, we're aware, but also then comes like more, like then comes like, the choice to like do the work. And so, yeah, it's like a blessing and a bitch in that sense. And so I appreciate what you said about a double-edged sword. I think for me, like, listening back to it, a couple of key things that really stood out. So we talked about evolution being a choice, and I really love the whole premise of, and some people asked some questions about this, so we'll dive more into this in just a second. But the whole notion of, when we are aware of these things, when we do experience adversity, is it something where we're like, I don't want to look at it, kind of a thing? Like, I see it, I'm aware, and like, no. Or is it something where we're like, okay, I see it and I'm aware, what am I going to do about it? And so that's what we're talking about in the whole episode, which we crammed a lot of great info into about 46 minutes, I believe is like the approximate or the exact total.
You sure it wasn't 47?
I know it was 46. So I know I like odd numbers, but yeah, it was 46. And so that's overall thesis, kind of like what we were speaking to and how our own personal evolutions have, evolved from that capacity. And to take it to your point about, using it as a gut check, I think that, when we are in the practice of evolution, it's an ebb and a flow. And so it's something where sometimes it's like, yeah, I see it and like, not now. Like there's a lot going on. I'm going to put that on the shelf. And that's all part of the process, because at the end of the day, you always like circle back to it. And it is a matter of, yeah, I am moving forward. Yeah, I am evolving. And so I think that for me was something else that stood out. And a quote that I posted would be the last thing that stood out that you had shared about, like, don't be shocked when people show you who they are. And so I thought that was really good as well, because I think when we see others move through their evolution, it also tells us a lot about who they are and if they are in integrity, like you said, with what they say, if they're practicing what they preach in that regard. And so I'd say those are my key takeaways whenever I was like listening back and like thinking about it and like what was standing out to me, which is going to be subjective based on like what you shared, life experience, what's going on. But those were the things that I was like, want to mention this on Friday.
Yeah, those were good downloads. Good downloads. The whole idea of, we'll get back to that, we'll put it on the shelf, is, it's this constant avoiding that all of us experience. It's comforting at the moment, right? But then it's not always, the payoff isn't always there for what we're avoiding. I heard another great quote last week, and it was, what you're avoiding is chasing you. And I thought, wow. Some would say what we resist persists. That's pretty accurate too. But I'm grateful for it all. It's good to have a download. This is kind of unique. Podcasting is my life, and never really done a after show.
I like being the first. Yeah, so every Friday. So that's why we do this, is because
you were my first, Jonna.
I was your first. Look at that. So, yeah, that's why we do this, because it's something where I think that we are in an age of information gathering, not necessarily information application. And so applications of those learnings. And so whenever we, talk about the thing on our Monday, or for us, we recorded, a few weeks prior, then it enables us with the opportunity to like kind of sit in it and marinate. Because one of the things that I feel and I've seen is also true, and kind of what we're speaking to, the only way to the result that you want is through the shit. And it's something where when we listen to a podcast or we, read a book or anything like this, we're often like, yeah, like set New Year's resolutions, like same thing. We're like, yeah, I'm ready to go. And then it's something where that kind of like dwindles down. So I like to circle back on Fridays and say like, hey, remember what we spoke about on Monday?
How's that going? A little refresher. Yeah,
exactly. And Juan has said in the comments, and thank you for letting us know, I've definitely evolved after my stroke.
You sure have, bro. You sure have. That's my daughter's old tennis coach.
Cool.
And my sister's high school friend as well. We go way back. Great to see you, Wandell. Great to hear you're doing better, my brother. Thanks for tuning in. See, in this case, this is when social media doesn't suck. You get to stay connected with people you've known forever, people that you're still connected. That's the beauty of how we all connect these days. Because before, I'd have to write you a letter, send you a postcard,
smoke signals
from a phone that was attached to a wall with a cord, like some kind of animal.
Do you remember the rotary ones?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Do I?
So there was no like drunk dialing, because how the fuck would you have like dialed with that? Like, if you don't know what a rotary phone is, look it up. It took you like a good 30 seconds, I would say, probably at least, to dial a 7-digit number.
Can we talk about the protest behavior and passive aggressiveness of taking the phone off the hook?
Yes. Well, so sometimes though it was a way to connect with family, because it would be like, okay, dinner time, right?
But remember, like when you first took it off, it would go dial tone, and it would go
oh,
go
yes,
crazy.
That. Yeah, it would be really angry. Like the card readers, when you leave your card in for too long, like it would just yell at you.
Right. My dryer.
Yeah, I totally
that thing does not shut up. I got it. I know it's done. I'm not ready to fold it yet. Yeah.
That's so funny. I totally remember that. Yeah. So social media is cool in this regard, and able to have conversations like this, which will hopefully reach a lot of people. So the choice of evolution. So we've touched on what we spoke about. Let's dive into what other people had to say this week in the poll results. So on Wednesday, we polled everyone to see what they had to say.
Exciting. This is like a morning radio show.
This is exciting. Thank you. That's what I do. Yeah, I've even got my coffee over here.
Let's go. I drank 2 cups of coffee this morning too.
Oh,
probably shouldn't be allowed to, but
like your adrenals. I'm just kidding. This is like a mushroom coffee situation. Anyway, that's not important. So okay. The first question that we only asked 4. Hello, Najwa. And yeah, Juan says this generation doesn't understand. Yeah, they totally don't understand.
No. They don't get it. They don't. You're exactly right, Juan. No, exactly, bro.
Yeah.
These damn kids pissed off. There's no Wi-Fi.
These kids, right? Like, anyway,
I can't believe I'm saying that. These kids.
That's
mildly fucking terrifying.
I don't have kids, but I mean, I feel when people call me
that was a general statement about just the younger generation, you know?
Yeah. So
although I did get absolutely checked by a kid half my age that's absolutely crushing life a couple weeks ago, and that was a humbling experience.
Okay. I got asked out by a 25-year-old.
Did you say yes?
Until I learned he was 25, and I'm like, I think this might not work.
Maybe he likes older women.
Wow. Well, he said that he thought that I was older, but then he was like, well, honestly, I wasn't sure.
Okay, first of all, never tell a woman that, ever. Yeah. I thought you were older.
Well, so he lied. He at first lied because he was like, how do you feel about dating younger guys? I'm 27. And I was like, well, what makes you think that I'm older? And he was like, oh, okay, well, I wasn't sure. I'm actually 25. And I'm like, so you just lied to me.
Yes, strike 1, Junior.
And two. I was like, no. But thank you. I admire your bravery in approaching me. Keep that up, but let's continue to be honest and save women from online dating, because that is a whole nother shit show that we could talk about. So yeah. Okay, so hello, look, we got some friends in the house. Welcome. We're having an after party / life party this morning. Sebastian had 2 cups of coffee.
We're having a life party over here.
Okay, life party. I'm still drinking. I guess I have had one, so this would be my second. So I didn't mean to judge.
I hear good things about that mushroom coffee. It doesn't taste like mushrooms, right?
It does not taste like mushrooms.
And there's no psychedelic effects.
Brands, unfortunately, not.
I have first thing in the morning is a little much. Is it?
Is it? According to
Yeah, it is. I microdosed a couple of at one morning, like a couple of. They were in tablet form. Just a very small amount.
And then you said one morning. Hello, Sonia. Look at all these friends hopping in. Hello. So, okay, hold on. Clarify for me. You said you microdosed a couple, and then you said one morning.
Okay, so I took two. They were like just little tablets. Okay. They had mushrooms in them, and it was you weren't, the walls weren't melting, and you were wondering if you were in some far off galaxy. It wasn't like that. You were very aware and very up. I don't know that I would say I enjoyed the process, because I went from like normal morning routine, coffee, and then like very alert, very aware. So I don't know that I'll be doing that again, but some days I'm like, why don't I just get up and eat a whole bag of mushrooms and let's just see what happens today.
If you do, please record that. Because I would too like to see what just happened today.
Yeah, could you imagine? I showed up to the after party here. What's up? How's your morning? Well, I just ate an entire bag of mushrooms, so stay tuned.
I hear I've never done them. I hear you're supposed to do them like in nature, though.
I think you're supposed to be outside. Yeah, I did it indoors one time in my apartment. It was not a good idea.
Well, I don't like spiders, so I don't think going outside would be a good idea. Look, Juan says I'm learning to
No
walk
mush.
again, not fly. No mushrooms for me. I mean,
Fair
maybe
enough.
you could.
Stay
Maybe.
grounded, bro. Stay grounded. Yeah. So I just want to invite you to consider that there's spiders inside your house, maybe.
No. No. No.
I can guarantee you there's a spider somewhere in your house.
I've seen. I know what you're saying is true, but like we're not. So that's again how awareness is a blessing and a bitch. Like, yay,
right.
I know about it. Secondly, like, bitch, like, no. Like,
oh, that's amazing.
No. Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Looking around. Yeah. Now that I'm terrified of my surroundings. Okay. So first question we asked was, drumroll, do you think you have a choice when it comes to your evolution? The responses that we provided, because it's select, were yes, no, obviously, and then kind of. So 89% of people said yes.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. When it comes to your evolution, wait, do you think you have a choice when it comes to your evolution? So 89% of people said yes.
I would hope so.
11% of people said kinda, question mark. So yeah, my bad. Those were not the answers I read. I fucked up on the questions here. I see. So full transparency. I'll update that post later. Do you think you have a choice? So kind of, question mark, no, yes. 89% of people, yes. 11% of people said kind of, question mark. 0% of people said no. So
I don't know whether to be concerned or excited. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good. Tell me why. Najwa says no to spiders in the house. Right?
Right, but there, yeah, I didn't know.
Nope.
So just tarantulas.
No, we're not having that conversation.
So, yeah, yes, it absolutely is a choice. The original evolution of how we were created and formed, depending on, what you believe and what your background is, that's entirely up to you. But when we think of like, could we decide what we wanted, the parents we had, who we became, who we were born, etc. No, that was divine intervention. But once you're an adult and you can make your own decisions, or at least you should be, I think that is a fair statement to say that you're in control as much as possible of your evolution, based on, listen, the title of this after party, the choice of evolution. You literally have that choice. So if you're not doing something with that choice, well, then that's on you. But yes, you absolutely can. So I'm glad at least 89%. The other 11%, well, we're praying for you.
I'm wondering.
I'm kidding.
I'm
totally kidding.
It was kind of question mark. So my thought with that is, I'm wondering if they were kind of like exactly what you said. Like, yes, like some things are definite. Like you can't choose your parents. You can't choose, like certain things about, like how you look, like your appearance, like that kind of thing, like the culture you were born into, like those kinds of things.
I really nailed all that. Obviously, God just totally nailed that. God was like, I'm gonna hook him up. Yeah.
But like, so I wonder if that 11%, if that was kind of like their thought process with it, because they were like yes and no. So that's how I took it. So I was very excited about these results because the overwhelming majority, 89%, were like yes. And so I think that really speaks to like the awareness that everyone has about what's possible.
Yeah.
And then also to the kinda, I think that's what I'm assuming. So this is my perspective, my point of view. I don't know. But yeah, I'm taking it as like, yes, but like there's, like you said, there's some of these factors that like you don't have any control over. Like I can't necessarily control if my boss fires me, kind of a thing. Sandra says, I said kind of because sometimes life will force you to evolve whether you want to or not. Exactly. You can, maladaptive, like choose to not use that as an evolution. But yeah, like, so things beyond your control, unforeseeable events, like, can you control your evolution? Is it a choice? Yes, but we have things like a pandemic. Like, we have things that, we can't control. We can't control the car wreck that's going to cause us to be late, kind of a thing. Sure. We can control how we respond to it. And that's what we mean when it comes to evolution. And so this could be just like a semantics, like an understanding, like, is this something where people are like, are we understanding like what evolution, like, are we on the same page? But yeah, I appreciate that explanation, because yeah, sometimes life forces you to do things whether you want to or not.
Yeah, well, yeah, let's not let it get there, right?
We spoke about that. Yeah, like, it doesn't always have to be a breakdown. You can have a breakthrough before you arrive at that point. But most of us as humans, we hate change. And I've had multiple conversations about that, multiple mentions. But since we do hate the change, then it's something where most of us don't evolve until we are forced to.
Right. Exactly. But, I'm trying to do something about that.
For yourself?
Yeah, for myself and for everyone. Let's not let it get there. Yeah. Let's create a life that doesn't require so much, fire alarm, responsiveness type deal.
Yeah, so your amygdala to be going into overdrive, your smoke detector to be going off.
Correct, exactly.
So, okay, cool. So that was the first question. The second question was, when it comes to your evolution, have you planned it, or has it just sort of happened? So this is the one where the responses were, my bad. It has just happened. It's totally planned. A little bit of both. And wait, I can plan this stuff? So the responses were 80%, a little bit of both. So a little bit of it's just kind of happened and I've planned it. 20% said it's just happened, which is interesting. So we'll talk about that in a second. Nobody said it's totally planned, and nobody said, wait, I can plan this stuff. So what are your thoughts on that, especially compared to what we just shared in the previous response?
So what was it planning on?
So the question, when it comes to your evolution, have you planned it, or has it just sort of happened?
I think it's a hybrid. I think it's a hybrid.
So that's what 80% of people said. 20% of people said that it has just happened.
Yeah. See, I mean, survey says.
But I think that's interesting because comparatively to the first question, we had 89% of people who said that it's a choice, right? And 11% that were like, it's kind of a choice. But then whenever we look at this question, okay, so have you planned it, or has it just happened? 20% of people, like, see what I'm saying? Like, our percentage doubled essentially there, with the it's just kind of happened thing. Whenever, like, these people, like, we lost some that had said that they'd chosen it, and people just jumped to, like, it's just kind of happened. So what that could also mean is that it's something where those unforeseeable events have happened that have forced us to evolve. So that's I believe, like, what that could mean in terms of it's just kind of happened. And then these other 80%, a little bit of both. I think what you said, as a testament to that, it's like, yeah, like the things that happen, and that that's supported the evolution, like, right? Like, that's supported the choices because you've had to kind of like pivot in that regard. It's kind of how I see it. So yeah, I would say a little bit of both as well. Because yeah, like you said, like, you can't pick your parents and like other things, but we can choose those reactions.
Correct.
Juan is saying a lot of good stuff here. So evolution is a choice, in my opinion. We're the narrators of our story. With my illness, I could have felt sorry for myself and more, but I learned to take time to listen, learn, and accept, and learn to walk and talk again. We have plans, but plans most of the time never happen accordingly when it comes to evolution. Ooh.
Preach, boy. Get them, Wandell. Let's go.
Yeah.
Schooling them on the tennis course, schooling them on Instagram. Let's go.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff. And I think that we see that happen when people are experiencing, these unforeseeable events. It's like, okay, like this is the reality. Like this is what happened. Now, what am I going to do about it? Like we're in the middle of a pandemic. Like there's an illness. Like what's the choice that we're going to take? Is it going to be to evolve and, like you said, listen, learn, and accept, like Juan just shared? Or is it something where we're like, all right, like we were saying earlier before most everyone jumped on, sometimes it's like we see the stuff and we're like, I'm not going to look at that. We're just going to look over here. We're going to go in this direction. Like we're not, we're not going to do it in the top right corner kind of a thing, or top left corner, I guess. But yeah.
Avoiding. Yeah. It's easier.
Yeah, avoiding. And my point earlier was sometimes when it's really fresh, you might need to like step away for a minute. So that's what I was saying when I was like, put it on a shelf. It's something where it's like, yes, I'm going to return to this, but like right now, I just need to take a breath and a nap. Tomorrow we will deal with this.
Right. You got it. Yeah, you absolutely have to take a beat and remember that some days you're just going to strike out.
Yeah. And unfortunately that might happen more than we would like for it to. So, shall we dive into the questions that people asked this week? Are you ready?
Yeah, I was born ready.
Okay. So question number 1. There are things I want to change that I'm faced with resistance. How would you overcome that resistance?
One more time.
There are things I want to change that I am faced with resistance. How would you overcome that resistance?
You got to lean into it. You just got to punch that resistance right in the face, because otherwise it's going to continue to be there. Resistance is a symptom. It's like procrastination. It's a symptom of something else. Some would say depression. Procrastination is a symptom of depression. So so whatever you're putting off there, that resistance is not going to go anywhere. It's just going to increase even more. And more time passes. So what are you missing out on by not leaning into the resistance? A. B. What's on the other side of leaning into that? What's possible with leaning into it? Because you don't know right now. It could very well be 10 times better than the scenario you're in right now, but you don't know because you haven't leaned into it. Lean into it, find out it doesn't work out. There's a possible outcome too. But staying stagnant and just knowing that it's there, I think that's even worse. It's almost like committing a sin. And I heard an analogy when I'm like, committing a sin is one thing, but knowing that you're actually committing the sin is even worse. Like that analogy idea of like being aware that the resistance is there and that you should be doing something and then not doing something makes it even worse, because you're losing and then somebody else more than likely is losing too. So that's kind of my thought process on that.
So you reminded me of something. It's like, yeah, if you don't ask, then the answer is always no.
Always no.
Kind of what you're getting at whenever you were saying, like, you don't know what's on the other side of it. It could be no, but now if you don't ask, the answer is no anyway. So it's something where, yeah, it's like, and like you said, and like we spoke earlier, oftentimes the only way to what we want is through the shit. And so through the shit that we don't want.
Yeah, what's the saying? You got to get through the shit to get to the shower. That's.
I've never heard that saying, but thank you.
Well, you heard now,
for introducing it to us. So, what I would say to this: there are things I want to change that I am faced with resistance. How would you overcome that resistance? So, my insight on this is that the resistance is obviously there for a reason. Most likely, it's because this is uncertain. Like you said, this is unknown. We fear the unknown, or we are recognizing some similarities with an experience or an event or a person or whatever that in the past we've had a bad experience with when we have leaned in. And so for your evolution, how to overcome that resistance, I would say take that knowledge from the past, like consider, am I resisting it because this is unknown? Am I resisting this because it's familiar? If it's familiar, figure out what about it is familiar, and then from there go ahead and say like, okay, this didn't work last time, this did, now what do I want to do in this situation? If it's something that's completely unknown, then you don't really have a lot to go with in the sense of like, okay, this is what I do, because like you don't know, there's no neural pathways, there's no way for you to tell like, oh, this is something I've done before. And so in that sense, I would say, what is it similar to, and where can you get other examples? Where can you ask a friend, like phone a friend? Like that's, game shows to like, that's what we do just as humans. Like we connect, we share experiences and stories. So I would say reach out and see like what specific. It's kind of something where it's like it's going to depend on like the specific instance, which as all things, like this is kind of a gray question, but I think that I would get curious about where the resistance is coming from. Is it because it's unknown? Is it because it's familiar and it was a bad experience? And then from there, think about, I love what your question was, and so I'm going to copy it. What is on the other side? Like, what do you want to be on the other side? And so that way you can prepare yourself for, well, maybe it would be a million times better, right? Like, what if? Like, what would it look like if it were fucking great? And then, what would it look like? What would I do if like bad things happen? So that way you're going to be prepared regardless. And so that's going to give you some sense of certainty, which nothing's certain, but it's going to give you the illusion of certainty, I think, which will then help support you with overcoming it, and not doing it in like, we're not standing on the side of the pool and we're just going to jump into the deep end, right? So like jump into the 3 foot first, like lean into it a little bit. And so I'm not saying like don't go through the shit. Like yes, let's go through the shit, but let's make sure you put your boots on. Let's make sure that you take one step before like diving head first. And so those are things that I would say, so that you can overcome like the little things, which will then give you the confidence and know-how to overcome the bigger things with whatever it is that you're resisting. So it's kind of a long-winded response, but I feel like it was a very comprehensive one, coupled with like what you said, like about just facing it. So those are so moral story, both yes, face. But a couple different angles to offer you when it comes to what that actually looks like. Boom. I'm going to start sending my guest mics so that you can just like drop it like whenever you're done with that. So, okay, that was question number 1. We have a couple more. Do you have anything else that you want to say to that one, or are we ready to move on to the next one?
I'm ready to move on to the next one. Right, how long's the show? I know I had 90 minutes blocked off. Is it 90 minutes?
Well, just however long it takes us to go through this, which is usually like an hour.
I wasn't sure. I only have calls after this. I'm not like running out the door. So all right.
Okay. So question number 2, which is like I said, kind of a 2-parter. Can evolution be negative? What are the negative and positive? And then I think the question like ran out, but I think that based on the first question, it would have been, what are the negative and positive examples of evolution? So main question, can evolution be negative?
I don't think there's any negative events. So it's subjective. I think it's, contingent upon what you view as negative. Is it really negative, or is it just a lesson that's less than pleasurable for you to experience? I think a negative outlook, again, maybe an unpopular opinion, but yeah, I think any part of becoming has its good and its bad. But I'm starting to move into a space of like, there's no bad and there's no negative. It just fucking happened. That's it. And you're either going to do something with it, or you're going to allow it to do something to you. So, and I think there's a distinct fork in the road where we have a choice to make, to make the right decision on what path and what direction we want to go in based on the feedback we're getting. A lot of that pain, depression, being stuck in a rut, all these things are usually signals for us to listen to. I mean, there's feedback there.
Right. So I like what you mentioned. This is something that really helped me in my journey, or healing, or whatever you want to call it. And that was, yeah, removing that negative or positive charge. Feeling what you need to feel. I'm not saying like, let's not like feel our emotions. It's very important. So feel what you need to feel and, understand and like process like what that is and what that's telling you. And at the same time, whenever we experience situations, instead of like looking at them as positive or negative, that gives them a lot of power. And like you said, like it takes it away from you. And so it's something where, in that way, the situation or person or event or evolution itself is something that has control over you. And so, yeah, removing the is it good, is it bad, is it negative, is it positive, and just looking at it as this is how I feel about it. It is what it is. And that's a really empowering way and a really liberating way that we can start to think about evolution and like growth and like human potential and like all that stuff. Because, yeah, when I first read this, my thought was, can evolution be negative? I think it depends on how we are defining evolution. If we're defining evolution as just, your journey, your story, like can good things and bad things happen? Can we respond in ways that are more favorable or that, do us a bit more harm, like some maladaptive coping techniques, like if something happens, like maybe we process it and go to therapy, maybe we start drinking, right? Like, would that be an example of like
maybe a little bit of both?
Maybe a little bit of both. Yeah. Maybe you wake up and try mushrooms in the morning.
Yeah, right. Yeah, what'd you do today? I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Long story. No, like a long story.
my walls melted. Yeah.
Right.
You got to call the painter now.
There were pink elephants everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in that sense, if we're looking, if we are defining evolution in that sense, then to take a page again from your book, like, yeah, that's kind of in your perspective, because are you going to look at that as being something that, we're going to dwell on that was like, bad, that was negative, quote unquote, that happened to us, or we can look at that as something that's part of your story, that is just part of your evolution. And, now that you have that experience, now that you know what you know, you can choose differently in the future. And that's where your power lies. And so I think that that's what I have to say about, can evolution be negative? It's how you're looking at it, essentially, is like what we're saying. Yeah. If you think, it's kind of that Henry Ford quote, if you think you can or you can't, you're right.
You're right.
And so it's kind of like, if you think it can be negative, then yeah, definitely. And also if you think that evolution just is what it is, like we were talking about, removing that charge is not negative, it's not positive, it's just part of this human experience, then
it just is. Or is it? I mean, sit here and overanalyze for days, but eventually a decision needs to be made sooner rather than later of, and again, so if you go outside and you got a nail in your tire, which I had a nail in my tire last week, and initially I was like, fuck me, I've been nailing my tire. It's Friday, and I'm like, wait a second. Is this really a problem? Because the gas station is literally 3 lights up, and this might be a $20 problem, maybe. So when I resolved that, I literally went around the corner. The guy goes, yeah, no problem. Holy cow. He didn't even have to jack my car up. Put the plug in. I paid at the window, and I was out of there in 15 minutes. There's no problem. It wasn't negative. Now, I could have chosen to create a problem, and I could have chosen to say, hey, this is a negative situation.
Let it spiral, like downward spiral.
Ruined my day. But instead, I caught it at 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning and said, there's a lot of freedom there, too, and power of being able to make that distinction of, I've got a choice on whether or not I want to fucking ruin my day right now. Like, I literally have a choice on whether or not I want to do that. Again, we're quotes after sayings, but it's part of life. And it's the things we remember. It's how we learn some stuff and remember some stuff and are taught some stuff. And that is, was it a bad day or was it a bad 5 minutes that you milked all day? And that's a very sobering question to ask yourself, because,
Yeah. So hopefully, I feel like we did that question justice. Can evolution be negative? And what are the examples? So the last question that we had was, why do we need to intentionally evolve? And to that I say, check out the episode 73.
Yeah.
Because we spoke all about the reason and the importance and how it is a choice topic that we're talking about. Episode 73, our conversation right now. You don't have to, but it is important that if you want to make the most of this time while we're here, that you assert some control and some power over what your experience looks like, and that includes intentionally evolving, which we dive deep into in our 46-minute conversation.
I just want to say that my brick background looks fire on Instagram Live. So I'm sure it's my iPhone camera, but I'm always constantly trying to tweak and get the lighting right and everything. Like the webcam doesn't look like this. So I just wanted to point that out. My lighting too is evolving. So
okay, we like that. My lighting is God's lighting.
No, you got good lighting. You're good. You're good there.
The sunshine, but yeah, it looks good. So yeah, that's what. Do you have anything else to say to that one other than check out episode 73?
Yeah, that's exactly. Great little CTA of stay tuned.
Yeah. So we also every week ask, what is some shit you wish someone told you about choosing to evolve? And we got 2 responses. So the first one, it is a dance. You are not always in forward motion, which I love. Ooh. Right?
Correct.
Yeah. I thought that was really beautiful.
Sometimes you're moving to the side, a little cha-cha.
Right? Sometimes you're doing the 2-step.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And then the next one was that you can always become better if you allow it. I love the word choice there. Can and allow and become. I love all that. I love both of these. I love all the love. But yeah, I thought that was really cool because I think that we oftentimes resist, like one of the questions, right? Like one of the questions that we got, like we resist that change. And so it's something where this is a really powerful shit that this person wishes someone would have told them about choosing to evolve, is that, like you have to allow it. And I think that this is what all of the spiritual gurus and hello Wes, welcome in. What all like the spiritual gurus and influencers and things like that when they say like, just release, just relax, just allow it. You have to receive it, kind of a thing. Do you like how my spiritual influencer voice?
My spiritual influencer voice, she said.
Yeah. That's what I feel that they mean whenever they're like, just whenever they say all that shit. Because oftentimes, so like younger Jonna, sidebar, when we first met, when I had the short hair, the bob, I should post a photo of that. Like, it was like so short. It was like, here. So,
you should bring that back. I dare you.
No, look at this. No. So I have the spiders can probably hide in this though.
Don't even put that shit out there.
I'm gonna be traumatized for the rest of the week. So that you can become it if you allow it. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with this, honestly, but I love that quote because it's something where like we were talking about like the resistance. It's like if you are in the position where you're like, no, I don't know that, it's unfamiliar. I know that it's good for me, but like I'm not quite sure. Like you just have to let it go, like Elsa says.
You had to bring her into it. Yeah.
I love that. I love that movie. It's so cute.
I haven't seen it. I need to watch it, I guess.
You haven't seen it?
No. Why would I? I'm a grown-ass man and a bachelor. Why would I be home watching Let It Go or Elsa or
Frozen? It's
Frozen. There we go.
That's a good question. Now you have me wondering, why have I seen it? I don't know, but it was good. It's worth it. It's real cute. But yeah, so love that. Okay, cool. So thank you to everyone who responded. Last part, we have a little rapid-ish fire question situation for you, and then we'll call it. So we're going to get to know you a little bit better. Are you ready?
Yeah, I just discovered some filters here, so
I see you over there.
I'm 12. Yeah. Okay.
We'll go back to that one. Guess this gibberish.
It's kind of fun. Okay.
I want to see you guess the gibberish. Okay, so
Okay.
5 rapid.
That's where you do the games at. Okay. All right, fire away.
Number 1, how would you describe your evolution?
Ongoing.
Okay, valid. What has been your favorite part of your evolution?
Becoming the best version of myself, continuing to become the best version of myself, and looking back and being like, "Bro, you were a lost goose for a long time, homie."
Why a goose?
Well, because goose get because goose get loose, and monkeys get funky. I don't know. That's a saying. Lost as a goose. Like my grandpa used to say it, I think. Let's look it up.
Don't they fly south for the winter? Like, don't they know? I think they're pretty good with direction. Geese fly south for the winter. They're in like a, yeah. I'm excited to see what this says because I don't know. I feel like they've got a good sense of direction. They migrate every year.
A southern saying would be, you're as lost as a goose in a snowstorm.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
But like, but again, like I saw. I mean, anyway, not important. But thank you for clarifying. So, lost is the, but you said loose as a goose.
I just Googled this and I find a blog. Remember Blogspot? They're still around, obviously. So Blogspot, the blog is called "A Brown Pair of Shoes," and there's a quote underneath it that says, "Do you ever get the feeling that the world was a tuxedo and you were a pair of brown shoes?" I just random is where we found the goose reference here, and then the random quote. So we're just keeping it lively here at shit. I wish someone told me after party on Friday.
After party.
Yeah.
There's 2 cups of coffee and a bag of mushrooms. So,
wow. What time does the plane leave for Vegas? Yeah.
Question number 3. Where have you struggled most when it comes to your evolution?
Procrastination, staying in my own way, talking shit, trying to fall victim to old ways of being, telling myself lies that I know are blatantly not true, trying to readapt old ways of thinking. Listen, when the old you dies, let them stay dead. It's for a reason, so that you can step into who the fuck you are and who you were designed to be in your full extended, extension of power as a human being. So I don't know where I went with all that, but I just got off on a tangent. I felt very compelled to share that. But yeah,
like
that's
Sebastian's taking us to church this morning.
Yes, that's what we're doing over here.
Yeah, that was
just takes one.
Okay, takes one trip to church, one baptism.
Takes one. That too. It just takes one person's thought process being shifted for us to make this entire hour even worth it. I mean, shit, we probably get a bunch of it from ourselves, like we did from the interview, but that's not why we do it. We do it so that we can, get a conversation going, and hopefully someone's mindset shifts in a different direction.
I'm supported. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that was question number 3. Question number 4 out of 5. Here's a good one. Yeah. Najwa says, "Woo, that was needed." Yes. So thank you. Thank you for letting us know.
Anytime. Just here to help.
So what has helped you most in your evolution? So this can be, I'll just, you're saying them really fast. So yeah, go ahead. What's helped you most in your evolution?
Good tequila.
Okay.
Really, really good tequila. I would say I'd probably say breath work. I do a Fiji breath work usually about once a month. I skipped last month's class because, hey, we're imperfect beings. But, it's 45, it's an hour and a half class. We breathe for about 55 minutes. And it's deeply transformational. And there's a lot of ways to move stuck energy around and without getting all too crazy woo. You just go and you just breathe for 45 minutes, and it's guided with music and an environment and blindfolds and all this really cool, you know, set the tone type of deal. But I would say breath work and reminding myself every day that I'm committed to the work for the rest of my life. And I don't care if I fuck up 6 out of 7 days. I'm still committed to the work every day. I turn my shower on cold at the end of my shower at the end. Very key. And I tell myself that I'm committed to the work. And some days I got to remind myself what that work is.
I was going to ask yourself, it's the breath work, not the cold showers.
Right. So okay. Definitely the breath work. I'd say the breath work, and then reminding myself, you know, just ask myself, like, what are you committed to? And are you in integrity to yourself? Fuck what you're doing for everybody else or what's happening out there. Are you in integrity with yourself? Because if, you know, and that comes with telling ourselves the truth, which is a fucking terrifying space to be.
Yeah. And you mentioned something on our episode, and that was if you were feeling some kind of way, whatever that way may be, that's not, you know, awesome, like I'm exactly where I want to be, then to make a list of what is the kind of person that you want to be, like where do you want to be, and then, you know, of where you are. And so start adjusting accordingly, like seeing what needs to shift. And I thought that was like really cool. So what kind of breath work did you say it was, just so everyone's clear?
Fiji. It's EFFIGI, I think, but I've been wrong a lot.
Okay.
So
cool.
But just Google breath work class in your local town, and go check it out. You know, not all classes and instructors are created equal by any stretch of the imagination. Right. They're all different experiences, but who is instructing that class is very important. So you can usually tell when this person's tuned in and knows exactly what they're doing, and they can guide you through that experience, because it does, you know, it is very intense. You're not in there going, all right, everybody, take a deep breath, hold it. All right, let it in. It's not like that.
Yeah, you can do it virtually as well. So you can also find like virtual classes, but you go in person?
Yeah, I would never do it virtually.
Okay.
I need somebody there in case I freak out.
Well, I mean, if you're over there eating bags of shrooms, I figured that you could deal with doing it by yourself.
Disclosure, I did not do that, okay? I am a comedian, so a lot of this context is very useful, but just verify, you know, the off-the-wall comments.
Yeah, disclaimer, breathwork can be very intense, but also like for people who don't have access to going somewhere physically, or who might not be comfortable doing that, then you can find places online. So yeah, Google town or online.
But I don't recommend doing breathwork on Zoom, so we can agree to disagree. But if you can't get to a class wherever you are, then it's a good alternative.
Yeah, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with you. I'm just letting people know, like, hey,
options.
If you don't have it in your town, yeah.
Right, exactly. If you
can do it online.
If you live in Podunk, North Carolina, and there's no, you know, or Texas, a lot of remote areas in Texas.
Or anywhere remote, yeah.
Exactly. This is true. Mexico.
So, yeah, discriminating over here. So, okay, last question. What is one thing you would tell everyone about their evolution?
Wyoming. Look what I've started. Montana. All right, sorry. I was replying to the comments of our listeners. One more time with the question.
What is one thing you would tell everyone about their evolution? Just one thing.
It's a one-player game. It's your job. It's your responsibility. And if you don't respond to the call, that's on you. It's like, how cool are, you know, how good are you with just the status quo? How good are you of living a life of I'll sell you my bullshit and you sell me yours and we'll call it a deal? If you're good with that, go nuts. I just don't think that there's any room for growth there or for fulfillment. And fulfillment is something that I think all of us, we as humans, I think part of the human experience is that we crave momentum. We want to wake up and we want to know we're going places. But then we also crave, I think, not necessarily improvement, because I don't know that everybody wants to improve their lives, but
wanting to have a sense of value within the society.
Correct. And know that we're doing something, but John, I don't know that everyone. I think everyone's like, listen, I'm a good dad, I'm a good mom, I'm a good friend, I'm a good brother, sister, aunt, uncle, and I do my job, and I pay my taxes, and I recycle, and I'm a good human. I don't need to do anything else. So there's some that have come to the conclusion that's all that's available. But I also think that's why conversations like this need to happen and are happening, because people literally don't know what they don't know. So how does that all change? Well, through conversation and through life and through experience and through being sick and tired of being sick and tired and asking yourself a simple question: how much longer can I go on like this?
Yeah.
It's up to you.
And I think for some people as well, like they arrive at a place where they're good with that. Like that is their way of making a difference. And so I think it's something where it's all, like we had said earlier, subjective. Yep, you got a 100% here. Thank you. Um, and so I think that, yeah, like people don't know what they don't know. And also sometimes it's kind of like it comes full circle, I think. Like once we start to learn all the things, it's like, well, now I'm able to see what's really important to me. And so um, based on that awareness, self-awareness being a blessing and a bitch, it's kind of like, okay, like, is this something where I want to now use it as a blessing to say, like, this is, what I want to do? Or is this something where, again, like going into that resistance, like where I want to like fight it? Like, is this something where I, I, I don't want to do it? And so I'm fighting with myself because like, I feel like I quote unquote should do it, kind of a thing. And so it's really something where this is part of the evolution, the ebb and the flow. And at the end of the day, like what you said, the one thing that you would tell everyone about their evolution is that it's a one player game. It's up to you. Like, whatever you feel you need to do. And that might change from today to tomorrow. And that's okay too, because that is part of your evolution.
Yep, sure is.
So, yeah. All right. Well, that's all I have. Thank you for being here. What do you have, and what do you have going on, and where can they find you?
I'm sorry, we said the last part of it. You said, what do I have what?
What do you have going on, and where can they find you?
Oh, what do I have going on? Podcast, and more podcast. I hang out sometimes here on Instagram. My original Instagram account got deleted, so this is my new one. But I hang out a majority of the time on LinkedIn is the best place to find me. So just search for me by name, Sebastian Rusk. I am active here on and on Facebook as well. We help folks start a podcast. So if you've been thinking about starting a podcast, trying to get your social media content game in check, trying to figure out a way to be able to create a platform and get your message out, podcast is an incredible way to be able to do that. So if you want to have a conversation about what's possible, I'd be more than happy to chat with you about that. There's a link in my bio that'll bring it right to my calendar. We can schedule a call to chat for 10 or 15 minutes about what's possible. But thanks, John. I really appreciate you having me on, both for the interview and the after party, y'all. I feel like we need a DJ.
You. Thank you for being here. Well, that's why I kind of sang you a little theme song whenever you hopped on. But yeah, thank you for being here. I'll make sure to, you're obviously linked, like I'm going to collaborate you whenever we finish.
Yeah, all the links in my link tree in my bio has all my links and everything you can find me, and free downloads, all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah. Oh, you are welcome. So this Monday, Halloween, we'll, oh my God, did you hear the Southern? Pretend like that didn't happen. This upcoming Monday on Halloween, I'm going to be releasing the new episode. We're going to be talking about life redesign for the month. So that's going to be pillar number 3 of the self system. So we've talked about self-discovery. We talked about evolution this month. We're talking about life redesign next month. And in December, we are going to be talking about your future focus formula, how to keep moving forward in the days that you just don't want to. And so make sure to tune in. I'm going to talk about what I mean when I say life redesign, what that looks like. It's going to be building on the conversations that we've been having over the past few weeks. And also we have some really great episodes and guests upcoming. Coach Shannon and I are going to be having a conversation about boundaries and how to support you with that and what that looks like, because we have the holidays coming up. And so a lot of us are going to be needing to really exercise those healthy boundaries. And we've got some other good stuff coming up for you as well. Otherwise, if this was helpful, please, please, please do share it on your stories, share it with a friend. It will be available on YouTube and also on podcast platforms here before the afternoon is over. Otherwise, questions, comments, concerns, comment them in the replay or slide into our DMs and let us know. All right. Have an awesome weekend, everyone. Be safe, and we'll see you on the screens.
Bye.
Bye.